Women of Reddit, what's the most crazy girlfriend thing you've ever done? Looking back, it probably wasn't that crazy, but it violated my standards I hold for myself to prevent me from being the crazy wife. Years ago, my husband's friend came over with his new roommate. This was the first time either of us had ever met or spoken to her. New roommate was known as a skank, but I'm not one to judge. We all hang out and have a good time. Later that evening after they leave, I open my laptop and find that my husband is still logged into Facebook. I see that skanky roommate has sent him a friend request and put a message on his wall. So I excited log out of his account and into mine so I can accept my new friend and chat with her too. Except, she didn't send me a friend request. She didn't leave a cute message on my wall, just his. So I logged back into hubby's account and blocked her. Well, it's not really a crazy girlfriend because it was only a crush. I worked at a supermarket on the registers, and this guy who worked at the store next door came in at the same time, same day every week. I ended up having a crush on him, despite never actually talking to him. I went to the store he worked at one day. His shift was just ending and the next person was taking over for him. I asked his co-worker what his name was and he told me. I ended up going on Facebook and typing in his first name, his workplace, and where we lived, and I found his profile. After looking through all his pictures and being a complete weirdo, I made a fake account to add him on. He's accepted. Long story short, that's how I found out he was gay. Great twist. My college ex and I broke up amicably, just going in different directions. The next guy she dated, she caught him drunkenly freaking her sister, in her bed, at her house party. She flipped. She was only about 5'2", 110, but she somehow hulked a half-full keg out of a second-story bedroom window onto the roof of his car. Legal drama galore. She called me to bail her out. I did. I never could decide if it was a bullet dodge or if I really couldn't blame her. That was one heck of a provocation. See, that's crappy of him, but I could never imagine doing this to my sister. Hid on his roof while the cops were looking for me. We had a fight and he thought I was going to hurt myself. Sent him a video of myself crying as a way to reason with him after he broke up with me. Ouch, you win. My high school boyfriend ditched me on the night of my prom, just didn't come to pick me up after I was all dressed up and ready to go, so he could go to his ex-girlfriend's house and hang out with her. My friends and their boyfriends all chipped in for my dinner so I could go out with them before the dance, but then I went home because I couldn't handle going to prom alone, knowing I'd been ditched. After prom was over, my friends showed back up at my house with several cartons of eggs. We drove to the ex-girlfriend's house, found my boyfriend's prized Mustang, and egged the crap out of it. Oh, it was also a convertible and had the roof down, so the eggs got all in the upholstery and stuff too. My best friend's boyfriend also apparently knifed the tires, though I didn't find out about that until later. Looking back, it was a childish, mean thing to do, but man, it felt good that night. Maybe an overreaction, but wow, what a crappy thing to do to you. My ex had a sore on his leg and I had some cream I wanted him to use that would heal it, but the cream was a weird color and he didn't want to put it on. I insisted that he should because it would literally heal it overnight, but he continuously refused and got annoyed. I finally snapped and started literally screaming at him to put the freaking cream on and broke down in tears, running to my room like a 3-year-old. We broke up not long after for other unrelated issues, but yeah, not my proudest moment. Okay, mental breakdown aside, we need to talk about what witchcraft you're doing that heals wounds in 8 hours. Found out my ex of 3 years had been cheating on me and had stolen money from my savings and my mother's safe jewelry to make presents to this other girl for months. Went out with my friends the following night. We all got a bit drunk and for some reason had to poop at the same time. We thought it was a good idea to poop on his car. So we walked to his house at 3 AM and we all left a little poop on different parts of the car. I am not proud, but I don't regret it either. I'm trying to imagine waking up to like 5 women crapping on my car. I burned his stuff and posted the picture of the fire on Facebook, then tagged him right in the center of the fire. This just happened on Saturday night. We are long distance right now until May, and things are going super well, but I have awful anxiety. One of his friends from the new country was having a birthday party, so him and all their friends went out bar hopping that night. He made sure to tell me that he'd be out late and might not be able to text, so I was expecting it. But 4 hours passed, then 8, and I got so worried. I trust him completely, so I didn't think he was with a girl, but I was scared he'd been hurt in an accident, or gotten alcohol poisoning or something. 12 hours have now passed and I'm hysterical. I've been messaging him every hour or so. I really tried to hold in my crazy, "Hey, I hope you're having a great night. I miss you." The messages became increasingly panicked. "Hey, please will you let me know when you get home? I'm getting worried, haha." I mean, after just the 9-hour mark, I was mourning the loss of my best friend and partner. I was laying on my bed sobbing, willing him to message me, even just one word. I worried so much that my stomach hurt so bad I thought I'd throw up. And even though I trust him completely, of course depression and anxiety had to swoop in and say, I mean, since you're not good enough anyway, why wouldn't he go home with a hot girl? So I didn't know whether to think he was dead or be angry at him for cheating. I cried for hours because there was nothing I could do about the situation, and I just had to wait. Finally, 16 hours later, he messages me. He had turned his phone off to save the battery for the end of the night when he needed Google Maps, and knowing the way he operates, the battery probably was at 60% when he left anyway. Then they all went out to eat, then got super drunk, walked around town, and he came home and immediately passed out. I was so relieved to know he was okay, and we video chatted the next day, but I never told him how badly I worried because I felt so crazy. That's totally me. The worst is when the WhatsApp messages go through on your end but the second check doesn't go in, so their phone is either off or not connected to data. That automatically means they're dead. My first boyfriend in high school. We were 15/16. He was about to break up with me because he was getting cozy with this hot new freshman girl who already had a reputation for giving great BJs, but I didn't know that at the time. All I knew is that he was acting differently towards me. In the past he had been almost clingy, but he was being really distant and acting like being around me was annoying. But on this day, I was still technically his girlfriend. So BF and a bunch of other people start leaving together at the end of the school day. The high school was across the street from a bunch of restaurants and I heard from one of the other guys they were headed to Buffalo Wild Wings. They left without me. BF didn't say anything about it to me. So what do? Well, naturally I walk over there and park myself outside the restaurant and wait. I waited for probably 90 minutes and this was before smartphones, so I was bored AF. Eventually the group exits the restaurant and BF sees me sitting on the curb. He wasn't going to acknowledge me until one of the other guys said, "Aren't you going to say hi to your girlfriend?" So he gave me a quick arm hug and said okay bye. Again one of the other guys prompted him to be polite and offer me a ride back to the school. He goes, "Yeah sure, just hop in the back, pickup truck." Other guy says, "You aren't going to let your girlfriend ride shotgun?" BF goes, "Nah." So yeah, that was really awkward and he called me 2 days later to break up with me. He had some nice friends at least. Searched photos liked by boyfriend's name on Facebook. I feel like this post just caused a lot of people a lot of trouble. My ex didn't come home one too many times, so I just snapped and ripped up all the photo of us and sprinkled the bits all over the bed and tore apart a little "I love you" teddy he gave me and left it on the bed to come home to. I felt like a crazy bee the next day, and I've never actually admitted that to anyone. Ran behind his moving car, howling, in the middle of traffic. Wait, I need more context. I got broken up with. 4 months later was out drinking nearby. Phone him up and basically tell him, "I'm on my way." He put up a small fight but in the end, begrudgingly agreed. So I stop at home, was not driving, put on my new floral dress and wedges. Really, I look nice. I then have a friend drop me off there. Oh, and I also had a huge bottle of vodka in my purse. Despite being very inebriated already, I continue taking straight shots from it. I wake up alone in his bed and walk downstairs. The amount of hate in his eyes startled me. He began to explain how I had tried to pee in his closet, and when confronted, I cried and declared, "You don't know what it's like to be a pretty woman." I left very swiftly after being told that. I don't remember most of the night. and never got the full story as he had virtually blocked me in every ways imaginable. I'm sorry, Matt. His side of the story is probably on a let's not meet. Paid money to access my boyfriend's court records because my mom had somehow convinced me he was lying about a certain court case that involved his ex. It turns out he was actually telling the truth. I was only skeptical because he has been known to embellish stories to make them more entertaining. This was while we were broken up for about 2 weeks, and I feel guilty about it all the time for even doubting him. My cousin, we are both 22, likes looking up all the court records of every guy she's had a crush on since kindergarten. She'll frequently say things like thank God I didn't date. Insert name. From 2nd grade, he has gotten 6 parking tickets. A friend of mine flew across the US, pretending to want to reconcile with her recent ex, in order to lock herself in the bathroom with his laptop and wipe the hard drive. In her defense, he was trying to send her parents and college professors her nudes and get her expelled and in trouble. I was hormonal and PMSing, and so MBF brought me takeout from my favorite sub shop. I cried when I opened it because it was my favorite sub, but I didn't want my favorite. I wanted my second favorite sub. Oh man, he really tried. Went through his phone and caught him cheating as a result. Not as crazy as some of the others on here, but it felt crazy to me because I am 100% not the type of person that does this. The funny thing is, he started cheating when I moved away for college. I suspected nothing, but his dad was a freaking bro and pulled me aside one weekend when I came to visit and told me he suspected he was cheating. Looked in the phone for proof and it turns out I had gone from girlfriend to the other woman to 3 different girls in the span of about 3 weeks. It was our 6-year anniversary when I found out and dumped him. Cool dad. When I was 15, my boyfriend broke up with me so he could date another girl. I asked for a game back that I had loaned to him, and when I went to pick it up I dropped off a bunch of things that had been from our time together, including a little paper doily from homecoming that had our names on it. I burned off his half of it. In my defense, I was 15 and that seemed perfectly normal at the time. Bet you were feeling good while you watched it burn. Found out my husband was cheating, went to his girlfriend's house with 2 trash bags of his shredded clothes, smashed cologne bottles inside, and a copy of our marriage certificate and dropped it at her doorstep with a note saying he's your problem now, enjoy, with a PS. The return policy is expired, you're stuck with him. I made us on The Sims and made us have a bunch of kids. 1 month before giving birth to our actual son, jokingly made us in The Sims and they had a son, who was taken away by CPS within like 5 minutes. Our real son is doing great though. OHH man. So I can't say this is precisely a crazy girlfriend thing because we were just best friends and lovers for years 2-3 at the time this story occurs, but I wanted to be. I started by internet stalking him, his MySpace, Facebook, his pictures, his friends, his notes, live journal, DeviantArt. He had a blog. I was convinced I was his dream girl and was determined to prove it. I was still casually dating though and had an OkCupid profile. He showed up on my list at a 95% match, my highest ever. I paid for a list to be an invisible visitor and scoured his profile and its hundreds of answered questions. Read every book and watched every movie he mentioned. I actually ended up sincerely liking all of them, so silver lining. Casually started dropping them in conversation, among others so as not to tip him off. I befriended his partners and exes for inside information. Another accidental sincerity as I'm still in contact with many of them. A decade later, I exclusively smoked his favorite brand of cigarettes and casually quoted his short stories, which I was fan level familiar with. We got matching tattoos for my birthday one year and he has no idea I knew the tattoo he wanted a year before and started discussing my interests in a totally unrelated tattoo through that year. The matching tattoos were his idea by the time my birthday rolled around. Short version. It worked, but we aren't together. I do my damnedest to never be that type of person, but the urge is still there. My fiance and I had to work through it and ensure I hadn't done that to him. This was 10 years ago, and I still get the creeps at the thought of a guy doing that for me. Upvote for insanity. I built a steel clamp. Yes, I went to the machine shop and spent time designing a solid model, cutting, lathing, boring, sanding the dang thing. just so I could crush our 3-year anniversary ring. You may wonder at some point, Palanka Madanko, why didn't you just use an already built clamp? Because I wanted to crush it in my own hands, and since I wasn't strong enough to do that, I figured a clamp made by my hands was good enough to feel like I was crushing it in my hands. I'm late, so probably no one will see this, but I spent a whole year trying to get back together with a guy who literally dragged me out of our house to break up with me. I thought he was just mad because it was a fight, couples fight. He couldn't actually want to end our relationship, not just over one stupid fight. Every reason he told me for breaking up with me, I heard as a problem I could solve so we could get back together. Of course, it didn't help that he was trying to morph things into a friends with benefits situation. So every flirtatious text where he was just lonely and trying to get laid, I saw as a sign that he was starting to want me back. So I spent a whole year of flirting, dressing up whenever I knew he'd be around, joking about which room in his new house would be my office when I moved back in, and here's the most crazy part. I actually started therapy to try to fix all the things that he broke up with me for. But what happened instead was that my therapist helped me figure out who I really am and what I really want, and it turns out it was not my ex. I actually started to acknowledge all the ways that he was wrong for me, instead of thinking I was the only one at fault. And I had to face up to the fact that all my efforts to try to win him back was holding me back from making efforts in the parts of my life that were actually important. I had this fantasy that winning him back would magically fix my life. But yeah, there's no magic. Fixing your life is just hard work. So, after a year of being crazy trying to win him back, I told him he wouldn't be seeing me for a while, and I deleted him off my phone and everything, and went completely no contact for another year. After a year of focusing on other things, casually dating some new people, spending time with friends, the next time I saw him, it was just met a guy I used to date. Now he lives on the other side of the world, and I happy birthday him on Facebook, and that's about it. I'm with someone else now, and I love him, but I don't rely on him for my happiness. If we broke up, I'd be sad, but not destroyed. It's really nice to be with someone because you want to, not because you're afraid you're nothing if you're not. That's awesome. I'm glad you're doing so much better and that you and your therapist were so successful. I kept his Xbox. I figured he would contact me since he left it at my house. I ended up playing Halo and got super competitive with it. Now it's really an Xbox. Turned on the read receipts on his phone when he asked me to fix something else in his settings. A few days after losing my virginity to some random dude I met online, consensually, to be clear, I called an ex that I had dated for 3 weeks and hysterically cried telling him I should have lost it to him. Poor guy had no freaking clue what was happening. I suppose that's more of a crazy ex-girlfriend thing. Messaged the girl who slept with my fiancé, at the time, broke up a decade ago, in our bed on Facebook and let her know that I knew what they were up to and that I found the video she sent him of her riding her hairbrush handle. He saved the video to my laptop. Like an idiot, she was a C about it. By the way, I contemplated leaking the video to workers at the daycare she worked at, but didn't want to deal with legal repercussions and I ultimately decided neither of them were worth the hassle. I had met her a month prior when we were out with his friends. She shook my hand and we ended up talking most of the evening, since the rest of the group were guys doing their own thing. She knew we were engaged. It wasn't a consensual open relationship and we broke up soon after that, for a plethora of reasons. Never in my life have I felt the urge to ride a hairbrush handle. You have been visited by the wisdom papa. Type study well papa or you will fail your next test at school. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.